Good morning, boys and girls of the internet. How are we doing this morning? We have done it again. 2001 Chevy Impala. Vlad the Impaler. That was random. I think the older I get, the more I'm just slowly losing my marbles. Anyway, this was picked up from the local auction for the bare minimum. This is like a $300 car. These are the ones that either run like crap or don't run at all, or they've just got a bunch of freaking issues. And this one had all of the above. But I like Impalas. I like them better if they have the column shift. This one's got a floor shift. But this old girl features the 3800 Series 2 V6. This thing runs freaking mint. Now, it didn't when we got it. If you notice all the black soot all over the back of the engine bay, this thing ran on 4 cylinders. It had every warning light on you could possibly imagine. Oil pressure, oil level, coolant, check engine, misfire, had an ABS light on, traction control. And then it was also louder than 40 hells. It sounded like a dump truck going through a nitroglycerin plant over broken glass. It was bad. And what had happened, so it started with the converter clogging up, and then it blew out the seal on the EGR valve. Well, some mechanic put an EGR valve on it, and that didn't fix it. Shortly after that, it blew out that seal back there, the donut gasket on the back of the exhaust manifold, and then they put a donut gasket in there instead of figuring out why it was pushing out gaskets. And then the third thing was the exhaust manifold itself just went and blew open. Now, when it blew open the exhaust manifold on the weld seam, all that hot air, I mean, you're talking hot, because if it can't push it through the cat, all that air is just building up in the front manifold and the crossover tube in the rear. And if it's not blowing out, then all 6 cylinders are pushing their hot air out a hole that big right there. It was hot. And it melted the wiring harness, and then it burned through some plug wires. That's where our misfire came from. That's where our check engine light came from. So now you've got a really loud car. It almost sounded like it was knocking. You've got oil lights on, check engine lights on, service lights on. And immediately people are like, it needs a motor. And so it wouldn't sell. Well, I forgot to put the brake cap all the way on, right? So it didn't sell because everybody's, it needs a motor, needs a motor, needs a motor. And I was like, really? A 3800 that died this early? And I kept thinking, I was like, no, certainly not. And that wasn't the case. The miles were too low. This car's got 147 on it. I think it's 147. Oh, 142. 142, 407. As you can hear, it's loud. I have removed the Cadillac converter. And when I cut the converter off, I just put a piece of flex pipe in there. It's going to go to the exhaust shop today, and they're going to weld in the correct piece of pipe. I just haven't had time to get it up there yet. So the security light keeps coming on. These are replacement GM keys, and they're not coded correctly, so it's mad. It does work, but it's gonna keep throwing that security light. This thing has power windows, and it's got power. What did I do? Did this one not work? I swear they all worked. Huh. Maybe this one didn't work. I think it's the switch, because it was rolling up. Yeah, see it? Come on, Jay. switch. Yeah, it needs a switch. Now all the windows do work. I'll put a switch in it, I guess. All of our locks work. The radio works great. The AC, ice cold in this bad boy. Now, as I mentioned, it is the floor shift automatic, which I don't particularly care for the floor shift cars. I like the column shift, but beggars can't be choosers for a few $100. There's Mr. Dylan working on his whatever it is he's doing to that unibody Ford. I figured I'd just show you guys. So now we will go and have the exhaust welded up and get this thing all cleaned up. It hasn't been cleaned yet. It's still dirty, but it is technically clean for the overall condition, and it coming from a sale. But 142,000 miles on a 2000 Impala. We've got AM FM cassette with a CD tray, dual zone climate control, leather wrapped steering wheel controls, and they all work. Put our blinker on, wait for this Fogey and a Honda Odyssey to come on. We're gonna bust us a U-turn, and we've got it. So this thing drives good. There's no shock noise, there's no strut noise. It shifts nice and smooth. It drives good and straight. Once we get that exhaust welded up, this is gonna make somebody a really good car. I'd keep it for myself if it was a column shift, but it would have to be a column shift. I do not like the floor shift in these. If you can get a car with a column shift, then why didn't you? That is the real question. If you could have had a column shift, what was the purpose of not getting the column shift? So much cooler. So. Like I said, the steering's good and tight. The brakes, I did have to fix a brake line on it. It had a leaking brake line that went to the front passenger wheel. So I put a brake line on it. I've noticed that the fuel gauge seems to go, it's got a little under 3/4 of a tank, but it's showing full. And it does it after it like sloshes around, because now I bet if I crank it back up, it'll show 3/4. No, it's gonna make a fool out of me. Well, GM stepper motors of this era were something to be left desired, so I guess. Oh, there it goes. Nope, go down, go down. Don't you make a fool of me. Do it, go. Anyway, it's got about a little under 3/4 of a tank, but it wants to read full. I don't know how long this thing has sat. I do know that all the lights work. Look at that. You got a pull style light switch. All our turn signals work. I had to change a tag light. There it goes. It's trying. There we go. That's about accurate right there. Yeah, that's about right. The climate control, like I said, all this stuff works. The air is good and cold. I don't even know if I got an owner's... Oh, yep, got an owner's manual. Some papers. 2001 Chevrolet Impala. Chevrolet will be there. That was not their most popular slogan. So this thing needs to be cleaned out, but honestly, the seats aren't really stained. They're not torn anywhere. Headliner's in good shape. We've got garage door, home link. We've got our fuel range, which is stroking out because that wants to keep moving. And they're all tied together. This car does feature a power sunroof. And it works. So the radio works. This thing's sitting here just purring away. 621. Make sure the doors are unlocked. Yeah. It's got power seats. just the lower portion anyway. Manual recline, like I said, and they're in good shape. They just need to be vacuumed up. It's got airbags in them. This car has 5-star aluminum wheels on it. There's some scuffs. There's some little scratches, but you wash it, you wax it. Hell, you could probably even cut and buff it because the paint's not bad. And this would be a good looking little car. They've already tinted the windows down. The headlights are not completely fogged over like most Impalas of this era. So either it was taken care of or there maybe some replacement lenses. I don't know. I always thought these were really cool looking cars. But yeah. So we got, let's see, with I'm gonna have to put a new converter on it. So that's probably about $100 for a good new converter. So we'll have, I don't know. If I had to guess, let me close this. There we go. Between fluids and some brake lines and some crap like that, and then had to redo a wiring harness. Fixing that wiring harness. I'd say, you know, your time is always valued as well. You have to give yourself credit. Your time is worth something. It's not worth nothing. So I'm gonna say I'm all in it for $650. Maybe a hair closer to $7. But once it's washed, waxed, vacuumed, armor-alled, shined, this got some good rubber on it. I mean, some good rubber. Somebody was probably taking care of this car up until the converter went out, and they just had a shoddy mechanic who couldn't correctly diagnose a problem, and she just got her a new car and traded it in. Look at these meat getters. Look at that. Those are some chunky tires. So those are good all the way around. So I'm betting, like I said, she just couldn't get it fixed. Went to the mechanic. The mechanic couldn't fix it. She got tired of trying, got her a new car, and moved on. So I think on the lot, you could probably put this car up there for about 32, maybe 3. That's a good running car. In the real world, like Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, or even eBay Motors, if that thing's still alive, you'd post this car for $1,500. But in the buy here, pay here market, this is a good, I mean, honestly, this is a good little car. It's an older GM car. I'm all about GMs. This is a good era for GM as far as the 3800 and even the transmission. These are not the ones that just eat transmissions either. So I think we'd be okay. Maybe 28. 28 cash. And you know what's crazy? It'll sell. It will sell. It'll washed, waxed, cleaned up, and armor all this thing gone. We can move on to the next one. Move on to the next one. Okay, there you go. There's a $300 Chevrolet Impala. Would you have given $300 for it? I'd buy 9 more of them at $300 a piece if I could find some more. If anybody else has an 01 Impala that they would sell me for $300 with a title, a clean title, 140,000 miles, you just find my inbox. I will buy it. I don't even care if they're rusty. It don't matter. They'll sell. They will sell. All right. There you go. We're out of here. Thanks for watching.